Today we're in my home gym and I am about to show you through a hyperbaric session in my brand new hyperbaric chamber. Follow me. So we've pretty much finished most of the gym here. We've just got the sauna left to do, but this is the new pride and joy here. This is our two-person hyperbaric chamber. Now it's a medical grade chamber that goes to 2.4 atmospheres. So I'm just going to run you through kind of how I set it up, all the different components and what happens when you're going through for a session. So first of all, we jump in here. We've got the compressor in here. So we turn this on. This is the compressor that pressurizes the chamber itself. So that creates the pressure inside the chamber. And then we've got these white units here. So these are the oxygen concentrators. These oxygen concentrators take the air from inside this room and then take all the oxygen, concentrate it, and then send it into the chamber through those bibs masks. So switch that on. And then we've got this last blue unit here, which is the air cooler. So when the air is coming from the compressor going into the chamber, that creates heat in the air. And so what we want to do is we want to cool that air down going into the chamber. So that's that unit there. And then what we do is we go through here and set up the protocol. So at the moment I am doing the Efrati study, the Efrati protocol. So I'll go into the protocols here. We've got all the preset protocols. I'll go through, choose the protocol that I am running. And then in here, you'll see the full protocol. So it's a 2-hour session. It's quite a long time, but you can see here, we've got oxygen on, and then we've got oxygen on, then we've got the air brakes built in. So all I need to do when I'm in the chamber is go in and just press the start button, keep the bibs mask on, and just chill out, and the machine will do all the rest for me. So it's really, really cool in that respect. So then once that's set up, I can also do all of this from the internal screen as well, but I normally set it up on the external screen and then jump in and start my session. So that's all done now, all set up. As I mentioned before, this chamber is 2.4 atmospheres, but we only really go to 2 atmospheres for most of the different protocols. It's only really if you're suffering from a really kind of severe condition, or you're recovering from a really bad car accident or a surgery or something that required a higher pressure, that you would use 2.4. But in the way I use the chamber, I don't use 2.4 very often. I mainly stick around that 2. At the moment, I'm doing this protocol here, which is 60 sessions over 90 days to lengthen telomeres and lower senescent cells. So I'm about 42 sessions into that. And I've got about obviously 18 to go, and then we'll retest everything from there. So now that's all set up. One last thing you need to do before jumping into the chamber. Obviously a 2-hour session is quite long. So another one thing you need to do is go to the toilet. You don't want to be caught out. So there's pressure on the bladder when you're inside the chamber. When you're decompressing, then what happens is that pressure comes off the bladder. So you may not feel like you need to go to the toilet, and then that last kind of 2 minutes of decompressing really comes on quick. So toilet first. All right, so now that is all done, the toilet has been, or the bladder has been emptied. We are going to jump in the chamber. Now I have been caught out once, and it was a very uncomfortable situation. So making sure you go to the toilet before you jump in the chamber. So jump in now, I'll set it all up and run the session, and I'll go through kind of what's going on while I'm running the session. All right, so now I am in the chamber. I am going to slide this door closed here. Now, all I need to do is press and lock this door, which is now locked. So I am locked in here essentially. So all I need to do now is just press the play button. So once I have hit the play button, I will then be able to start the session. Right, so now I've hit the start button on the session. The air is coming in from the compressor. It is pressurizing this chamber in here. So I can feel a little bit of pressure on my ears. What I'm doing is just equalizing as I'm going. I'm obviously pretty used to this, but if you're new to hyperbaric, you'll feel a little bit of pressure on your ears, similar to in an aeroplane, and you just need to be able to equalize your ears. Now, one of the main contraindications with hyperbaric is that if you have any sinus or ear infections or anything like that, you can't equalize your ears, you can't go in the chamber. So we don't want any damage to the ears or the sinuses. So it's very important that you can equalize your ears. At any time, if you're running a session or you're in for a session and you couldn't equalize, you can either hit an emergency stop or a stop button. Normally, if someone is putting you through a session, they will be there to kind of obviously monitor when you're going up to pressure and coming back down. So that's what you kind of feel when you're pressurizing. Now, what I would normally do is I'd put this straight on. Now, this funny looking mask here is called a BIBS mask, BIBS, which stands for built-in breathing system. Now, this has two regulators on the end of this hose. So we've got one regulator for air or oxygen in, and we've got one regulator for CO2 out. So super important in terms of a hyperbaric session. When I breathe in, I want that 98% oxygen from the concentrator into my lungs. So when I'm breathing in, I'm taking that oxygen in, but most importantly, when I breathe out, the other regulator opens and the CO2 goes outside of the chamber. Now, pretty much every other chamber on the market, you actually have either a nasal cannula or a rebreather mask. And what happens with that is you get a constant flow of oxygen that can increase the oxygen quality inside the chamber, and you don't want that. And you also have CO2 getting breathed back into the chamber, which you don't want that either. So in this environment here, I have what we call the controlled environment. Inside, it is 21% oxygen, so the same air as what you're breathing at the moment. And that means it's a very safe environment in here. You don't have to worry about having specific clothing or anything like that. It's very safe with the controlled space being 21%. And then what that allows us to do is pump the enriched oxygen through this mask here, and the only place it is going is into your lungs. Now, most other machines on the market, they'll either use a nasal cannula or a rebreather mask, and that dramatically decreases the amount of oxygen you're getting into the blood. With a standard nasal cannula, you're getting about 30% of the oxygen into your lungs. The rest is coming from chamber air, which is normally 21%. Rebreather mask, about 60% of the oxygen. With this, because it's sealed around your mouth and nose, you're getting 100% of every breath you take in. You're getting 100% of the oxygen you could be getting. So over a 2-hour session, it makes a big difference in terms of how much oxygen you're actually getting into the lungs, and in turn, how much you're getting into the blood plasma. So really important in terms of having one of these. Now, one of the other things with having the 21% oxygen makes it very safe. So there's a lot of other devices or hyperbaric chambers on the market that pressurizes with pure oxygen, and then you just sit in here with no mask on, you're just breathing the pure oxygen. Now that imposes a really high fire risk. You've got to have special clothing. You obviously can't take any devices in there, you need to be grounded. Now, some of those devices still provide really good results, but in my opinion, the risk versus reward is kind of outweighs the benefits of those devices. I would much prefer to kind of sit in a chamber like this that's pressurized with ambient air and much safer, and then you've got still getting the oxygen through the mask. Now, those oxygen concentrators, they are pulling the oxygen from the room, but we can actually set it up so you can have pure oxygen from a bottle, medical grade oxygen coming through this mask as well, but not really too commonly needed. The oxygen concentrator is what we mainly use. So one other thing with hyperbaric is devices. Now, this device here is a Samsung device that has no batteries in it, so no lithium batteries. Obviously, in a hyperbaric chamber, lithium batteries are an absolute no-go. So you'll recall the Samsung devices a while ago that were catching fire on airplanes and all of that. So what you've got to remember is that when this chamber door is locked, right now it's locked, I can't get out of here. The only way I can get out of here is by stopping the session and letting the chamber slowly decompress, or using the manual valve on the back of the chamber, opening it right up and dumping the air out. So the minimum time I can get out of here is about 2 minutes with opening that valve up. So you can imagine if I had one of those Samsung devices that used to catch fire, and for some reason it just combusted in here and caught fire, I'm going to be stuck inside the chamber here with a burning phone or whatever it may be for 2 minutes. Now, there's no risk of it exploding because we haven't got 100% oxygen inside the chamber here, but it would be like being stuck in your car with the doors locked with a burning device. So we don't want that. With this here, because it doesn't have any lithium batteries, it's all low voltage. These screens are all low voltage, very safe in terms of having these devices in there. So it means you can still watch, you know, Netflix and stuff on here. But most commonly, I just put that away. I normally sit here with a book. At the moment, we're going over the 4-Hour Body. Now, this is a classic by one of the OGs, Tim Ferriss. So I'm going back through that and picking up on some points that I've forgotten about. So a book is the best way, but obviously a lot of people want to, you know, watch a device. So just making sure it's one of these Samsung devices that has no batteries, or the lithium batteries are taken out, and it's just a simple USB plug into the port there. So what I normally do is I will put this in. I'll stop talking. I'll put this on, so you can hear the oxygen coming in. I can obviously taste the oxygen as I'm breathing in as well. And we're slowly compressing at the moment. We're already at 60 kPa. Now 60 kPa is 1.6 atmospheres, and we're wanting to get up to 2 atmospheres. So we're about 40 kPa away from reaching our target, and it normally takes about 12 minutes. So we'll wait. I'll be breathing in the oxygen as we're going. And then once we get to that point, I'll just sit here, chill. I'm still kind of equalizing my ears a little bit as we're going up, but it kind of calms down a bit after that first kind of 2 or 3 minutes. So once we're up to pressure, I'll just sit here, chill out for about an hour and 30 minutes, hour and 45 minutes, and then it'll start automatically decompressing. All right, so I'm about 10 kPa now. It's going to take a long time for that 10 kPa to go out because it's a lower pressure. So what I normally do is I'll open the manual valve here and just slowly let that last 10 kPa out, and it will slowly drop down, and then the door automatically opens, slide it open, and out I go. All right, door is now open, so I'll close that valve off for tomorrow's session. Open the door up. Right, so I am all finished. That is the 2-hour session done. So 42 sessions in, what we're trying to do is increase telomere length and lower senescent cells, and also wipe out inflammation. So those are the kind of main 3 I'm aiming for. We've done all my tests, full MRI, full bloods, hair, skin, DNA testing, everything. So in about 20 more days, I'll be able to kind of re-measure everything and we can see what we have achieved. So if you like this content and you want to see more of it, we will be doing more content around longevity, health and wellness.